I step out of the dressing room every time he would go to the ring, and I saw this. Brody was a big guy, 6'6", right at 300, waving that chain, going whoosh, whoosh. And those little Japanese people, they're not, they're kind of short, they're not very big, and they was running. And some of them were actually running for their lives. Some of them were kind of laughing, kind of knowing that he's not going to hit them. But some of them didn't know that. And then he would just go and he would take that trip around the arena in the stand with the fans, and then he'd get into the ring and they'd start the match. And once I saw that, I said, well, hell, I saw what I knew how he worked.
Throughout its storied history, professional wrestling has seen few characters as magnetic and enduring as Bruiser Brody.
The American Heavyweight Champion will defend that belt next Friday night against the former champion and Iron Claw Master Fitz Von Erich at 325 pounds from New Mexico, Bruiser Brody.
Real name Frank Goodish, born June 18th, 1946. Brody entered the world of pro wrestling after his time playing college football had come to a close. Also known as King Kong Brody in certain territories, Brody began his journey wrestling in Dallas, having been trained by the patriarch of the ever-popular Von Erich family, Fritz Von Erich, with his career leading him to other territories in the U.S., as well as across the globe. It wasn't long before Bruiser Brody built himself a reputation amongst fans as a manic, ruthless, hardcore competitor. For peers, he built himself a reputation for being difficult to work with, to put it mildly.
I didn't like to get the dog shit beat out of me. That's one thing. Because that's what got him over. He just beat guys up. I mean, not literally, but he was a little tougher and a little stiffer, that we say, than the ordinary guy. See, Brody, he had one style, his. You either worked his style or you didn't have a choice.
Like, I couldn't tell you like what kind of a guy he was. I didn't know him in that way. I just know that he was very, very smart business-wise, very, very savvy business-wise. He didn't trust promoters. But I learned from him, because I was always kind of like, learning the business and believing people, and he would be kind of like, okay, that's bullshit. That's bullshit, that's bullshit. It was great to have someone like that who would just, like, if I would say something like this, Larry Madison and him would just go, okay, they're saying that, but this is what it really is. And then they had so much experience in the business that they understood that.
It was beyond my style. He was so aggressive and so hardcore with chairs and with throwing you into walls, into doors, and it was the first time I actually felt like a little kid being led around an arena.
Frank was his own worst enemy and had been his own worst enemy from the get-go. He started around Tulsa, I think. May have got started just a little bit before that in Texas, but came around Tulsa. Frank was the type of guy, if he knew he could bully you, you had a miserable ass time in the ring with him.
Right.
But if he knew you wouldn't tolerate it, you had no problem with it. Frank was a fairly tough guy. He just, if you confronted him, he'd back off right away.
See, although pro wrestling may be scripted entertainment, for the most part, the personalities and egos behind the on-screen personas very much exist, and, in the world of pro wrestling, a wrestler's character is vital to said wrestler's ability to earn a living in this pseudo-sports environment. And Brody was a man who did not play with his money. In fact, his role in the business went further than being an on-screen character. Frank describes working in production for a promotion in a very unique interview from the 80s, in which he blurs the line between reality and fiction.
Yeah, this is the hard way. For example, I can run all your equipment in that studio. I used to produce the world-class TV show. I booked the talent in there and produced the show. Sat in on all the post-editing. I can rent all your equipment there. If somebody pulls a mobile up there to shoot matches out of arena, like the NWF, they film a lot of places we wrestle. Well, I don't go on to last, so what do I do for 3 hours? I don't sit in the dressing room, I go out and sit in the truck. I listen to camera calls, you know, I know how to produce. That's something that I would dare say, I don't know if I could name 3 other guys in professional wrestling that are actively wrestling. I'm not talking about those that have gone on to administration. I'm talking about those that are actively wrestling. I couldn't name 3 other guys that know how to produce, you know, and edit and put together a show and do all of that.
We're wrong for this, huh?
Yeah, we've been wrong.
Okay, good.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
No, I won't. I don't think you said anything there that's...
Yeah, I did.
You did?
Yeah, I don't think it's good that anybody knows that I produced that show.
Okay. All right.
You know, and I don't think it's good that anybody knows that I'm Frank Goodish.
Oh, well, I won't happen.
With Brody's infamous refusal to job, or lose, in non-wrestling terms, and his peers and bookers' growing impatience with his antics, everything came to a head on July 17th, 1988. According to various wrestlers and bookers at the time, Jose Gonzalez, known under the moniker of Invader No. 1, had a prior meeting with Brody years before, where Brody apparently felt as if Invader No. 1 wasn't selling his offense well enough, and decided the best course of action was to go off script and beat him to a pulp in front of the paying audience. Now reuniting in Puerto Rico, Jose Gonzalez sees his shot at revenge.
And when he left to go to Puerto Rico, I told him, I said, Frank, if you go over there with this type of an attitude, you're not going to live to get off the island. And he didn't.
I remember, like, happened 2 minutes ago. I'm in my corner. Let's say this is my corner. I got a wall here and a wall here. In that area there was Jovica, Carlos, and Invader. Brody passed, changed in that area.
So
over
they
there.
were all 3 talking, and they were in the locker room.
It was a big room. Yeah. Was the dressing room's, baseball locker room, big, huge dressing room. Here come Invader, get up, walk towards the ring area, which is in, to the dugout area, and come back. When he come back with the towel.
Jose come up to hand Brody with a towel over his hand. He said, Brody, can I talk to you, por favor, which means please.
I went to the bathroom. The bathroom area is separate from the showers. When I went there to that area, that's when we hear some noise.
Brody turned around. He still had his bag in his hand. Turn around and step 1 foot in the shower, and then the other foot in the shower. As soon as sucker foot hit the shower, I hear this sound. Just like that. So the second time he did it, he bent over. I looked up, and the first time he did it, I thought he got punched. I said, damn, Jose can hit hard. They fighting.
I thought that Brody was beating Invader. For some reason, that come in my head. But was the other way around.
So when I saw him bend over, Jose lift the knife in the air like that, and I saw the knife with the blood dripping off of. So I jumped from my chair and grabbed Brody around the waist and yanked him back. The knife came down and cut Brody's ponytail off. That's how I shot the knife. And Brody looked at me and said, brother, I'm hurt.
And I think Brody, and I'll get to another point in just a minute. I think Brody kind of realized that this might be it. Because he told Carlos, tell my wife I love her.
So what was everyone else in the dressing room doing?
Getting dressed.
So no one, other than you, no one was trying to...
do nothing. Getting dressed. That's what they were doing. Getting dressed. So anyway, the guy, they couldn't lift Brody. Because Brody was over 300 pounds, they couldn't lift him. So they came, with somebody help, said we can't lift him. So everybody, they turned it back. They turned it back. So I said, I help. So I got up, I put my arm in, I squatted all the way down, got underneath Brody. Brody said, don't drop me, brother. I said, don't worry. I said, I curl more than you weigh. So he started smiling a little bit, so I pulled the thing up until it clicked. Then I pushed him on the ambulance.
But after they got him out, Tony come back about an hour later, and he's raising hell. And And Vader's brother was in the dressing room. I remember him saying in Spanish, somebody told me he said in Spanish, he might need to shut up. He could be next. You know what he died from, right? He died from blood loss.
Yeah, blood loss. Yeah, absolutely, sure.
And the reason they took him to the hospital, and he was in the hospital, but they couldn't stop the bleeding. They actually did two surgeries on him. They did one to fix what was cut, and I'll get to another point in just a minute. But then they saw he was losing more blood, and they went back in the second time, and they stitched him back up, but they could not stop it. I don't know why they couldn't stop the blood. I don't know why.
He went in the shower. He had his guard fully down. Had no idea. He ain't even put his bag down. He had his wrestling bag. He just carried his little pouch with his money and everything in. Yeah. And he was looking at me drawing. The last thing on his bag. Then he reached into his pouch to get a picture of his son. And he reached to hand the picture to me just like this. I reached to get the picture. Before I could do that, Jose said, "Can I talk to you?" Brody turned, so I never got the picture. He was still holding the picture. He walked in the shower with the pouch in one hand, the picture of his son in his other hand. And when he went into the operation room, guess what he had in his hand?
Abdullah the Butcher, tonight's the night. Tonight's your last appearance. Tonight's your last time ever to come to San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Bruiser Brody's brash nature and his insistence on being overprotective of his persona and place in the business, ironically, put Frank Goodish's life in jeopardy until it was abruptly taken that night in Puerto Rico. Despite the man's antagonistic habits backstage, people within the business respect his body of work, having been inducted into various wrestling halls of fame, his friends reminiscing on the man they once knew, and future wrestlers pulling inspiration from him.
He was a huge influence on me. I mean, I saw what he was doing, and I'm like, that's what I like, and that's what I'm going to try to deliver to people.
For fans, he will always represent brutality and spirit within hardcore wrestling.
You know, I'm happy to be here, and I don't care about all those other wrestlers. If they don't want to come to the small towns, the rural communities, that's okay. Bruiser Brody will always come, touch the people in every community from coast to coast.